And we're live, back with another podcast on the Mike and Mitch podcast with Jeff again. I am Mike, as always, and it's winding down. We're in the last week of the season, so playoff series or scenarios are being drawn, and last
couple more teams made the playoffs.
Yep, and teams to make the playoffs still somewhere there. Some teams did not do great last night in their playoff run. They're still in the playoffs.
Yes.
Obviously, talking about Columbus, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And also Arizona.
Yeah, we'll obviously get to all of those
Yeah.
as we get to it, and obviously Flyers too, because we always talk about them.
Yes.
But first, I guess we can just talk about the league in general. After the Flyers lost last night, Dallas has made the playoffs.
Yes. So they are officially in the
first
playoffs.
wildcard spot in the league, actually, in the East and West. The first wildcard spot has been taken.
And if the playoffs were to start today, they would face the Winnipeg Jets.
Yikes.
Ironically, though, the Stars lead that season series 3-1.
Yeah.
I was just say they won that series in the regular season 3-1. But of course, the playoffs are a different animal.
They are, and
but it's encouraging numbers that Dallas certainly put up. Look at this. They won 5-1. Of the games they won,
the only game that was close was the third game on January 19th, where Dallas won 4-2.
Yeah, but other than that, Dallas put up 5-1, 5-2, 4-2, and they lost 5-1. So
it's kind of
it's an interesting series to look at.
Wouldn't know because I don't really know what happened on the March 25th game. If it was a close game and the fifth goal was like an empty netter.
That's always my theory.
But also, this plays into effect too. Dustin Bufflin's back.
Yes, that's a huge factor for the Winnipeg Jets. So I think you'll see a lot less goal scoring.
Mm-hmm.
But
and
I'm interested by this year's because this is the first time Dallas has made the playoffs in 2 years.
Yeah.
And
I was actually surprised. I was like because I thought Dallas was going to be third.
Yeah.
This year when I made my predictions. In the Central, but they still made the playoffs.
Yeah, they did. You gotta give them all the credit, for sure, because
the West has been
they're fourth in the Central right now. So they're 3 points behind St. Louis and 3 points ahead of Colorado.
Mm-hmm. You know who the fourth team is in the Central? The top is still up in the air.
Yes,
that'll be decided in the last few games too.
Yes,
but we'll get to that in a second.
And then, more so for Dallas, that is an injury report right here. Of course, you have Martin Hanzal and Mark Method. They've been out for the season for quite some time. Some of the bigger injuries, though, but a few day-to-day. Brett Ritchie, a hand injury, he's day-to-day. They need to get him back because he's a very important piece. He's a young piece, but he's a very important piece for Dallas. Ben Bishop, of course, their goalie. He's day-to-day as well with a lower body injury. You got to wonder if it's like a groin injury or or something like that.
Because isn't that what he kind of was dealing with
in Tampa Bay? Yeah, because in back-to-back years, he had that pretty bad groin injury, if not it was a leg injury or
something. Which was the emergence of
Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They still lost.
Yes, but still, yeah. You have Justin Dowling, who's up day-to-day with an upper body injury as well. And Stephen Johns, it says injured reserve retroactive to October 4th. I don't know how long that's been up there, if it's talking about, I'm assuming earlier in this season.
Yeah.
But still, because post-traumatic headache, so it sounds like post-concussion syndrome right there. And that's a big loss because he's one of their better defensemen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's big for them there.
So far at noon, I have not seen anyone that's tweeted out like any playoff scenarios for.
Yeah, I don't know if there are any. The only teams, I'll put it this way. So here are the teams that are in right now: Washington, the New York Islanders.
Since we last talked to.
Yes.
Both the Islanders. And
Tampa Bay, Boston, Toronto, of course. You have Winnipeg, Nashville, St. Louis, who made it. Calgary clinched the West.
That would be why, because there's only 3 games on tonight.
You know what's wild? The Calgary Flames, they're the best team in the Western Conference.
Oh, and the Maple Leafs finally made the playoffs,
yes,
too.
They did, yeah. So that's big for them. They're finally
yeah,
clinching.
they finally got that.
But of course,
yeah.
we knew all along they would
We
be
knew they
facing
were,
the
but
Boston
it was
Bruins.
getting kind of.
It was getting a little
panicky.
dicey, yeah. The Calgary Flames, they're the best team in the West. They
That's
clinched
still
home ice advantage
Yeah,
all
that's still a
throughout the
surprise
playoffs.
to me.
At least in the Western Conference. But still, hats off to them. I honestly thought it would have been Nashville, but they really fell apart. And even Nashville, at one point, the St. Louis Blues took over that second place spot in the Central.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's
Nashville, of course, has gotten it back. But still, it's a little scary.
Still very close.
And now you
two-point
kind of got to
difference.
wonder, because right now, if the playoffs were to begin, Nashville is playing the St. Louis Blues, in fact.
Mhm.
And as Flyers fans, because remember that 4th round conditional pick they got in the Simmons-Hartman trade becomes a third if Nashville wins a series.
Mhm.
At this point, you're wondering, can Nashville even win the series against St. Louis? Because they are getting cold, and St. Louis is getting hot.
Yeah, I still give it to Nashville for experience.
I think I would too, because of how deep they are, as a team.
And I hate to do this because I hate when most people do it, but historically, lately, St. Louis has not been good in the playoffs.
They really haven't been. The last time,
And also, I can say this as Flyers fans.
Yes.
We've seen Craig Berube in the playoffs.
Yes.
It's not the best.
I'll
His
put
one
it this
time
way.
being in the playoffs.
I'll put it this way. I think Craig
Because
Berube.
that was against the Rangers, right?
That was.
Yeah.
They did force a game 7, but
Mhm.
it didn't. It was only one
Yeah.
nothing loss. But I'll put it this way. I think.
Yeah, because wasn't it like right before Steve Mason got hurt at the end of the season?
Yeah,
right?
because he got a concussion against the Penguins because
Yeah.
they plowed him over.
Yeah.
Emery started the first 2 games.
We didn't have to start him that game either.
We didn't. It was meaningless.
Yeah.
So
So then we had to go with Razor Ray.
yes.
Yeah.
And then
But she didn't.
Mason
The
came.
first game, I don't think.
First
he
game he lost.
Yeah.
Second game he played great.
Yeah.
After that it was kind of back and forth,
Yeah.
and Mason came in. But I'll put it this way for Craig Berube though. St. Louis is a much better fit for him than Philadelphia ever
Sure.
was, roster-wise.
Mhm.
Because if you looked at Philadelphia that year, you had Vinny Lecavalier, you had
Mhm.
Claude Giroux, Scott Hartnell, Braden Shen, Wayne Simmons, Jake Voracek,
The same
Mark
team, yeah.
Streit. You
McDonald still.
huh?
McDonald still.
Oh gosh, yes.
no
you had a-
Yori yet. No Yori yet.
No
yet. That was
words.
just for me to say.
But you had more of an offensive threat for
Sure. And then
St. Louis.
you're
It's a
little
more
yeah.
defensive team, and that's why it works so well because
And also,
Berube's style.
he made the smart play of we're benching Jake Allen.
yes, because Jordan Bennington,
Yeah.
he's
played
a
really well.
superb.
Yeah.
He's
his
up-
first game he played
Yeah.
was against the Flyers, and
Of
I was
course
at
it was.
that game, and the Flyers played terribly in that
Of
game.
course, it was.
Yeah.
Because I think all rookie goaltenders look like the next Vezina Trophy winners against the Flyers in their NHL debut.
Mm-hmm. Including goalies that are on the Flyers.
Yes. But really quickly, I'll obviously let you get your points. But I think that again, it's a big turnaround for Berube because defensively, you have a lot of talented players for St. Louis. While Flyers, not saying that year in 2013, 2014, they were, horribly defensive-wise, but they're clearly an offensive style.
Right.
And that's also why Vinny Lecavalier's game was so bad because
And I guess you could also say Couturier, too, because
and
Couturier
that
was
too.
only played in defensive zone.
Exactly. And then that, too, under Peter Laviolette, they look great because he's an offensive threat. But for Berube, that
The battle of the former Flyers coaches.
oh yeah,
That'd be that series.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Also, former Flyers, too.
Yeah,
Shen
Shen.
and Simmons.
And Simmons, yeah, this is
And
great.
Ronaldo.
And
if he's
Ronaldo,
back.
I think so, but still, if he even plays. But yeah, so those are my thoughts. What do you think about the whole Berube thing with St. Louis?
No, I think you agree. I agree with you, actually. Nothing, because they are more of a defensive
Right, because you look at players like Alex
'Cause
Pietrangelo,
yeah.
even Jaden Schwartz, although he
Right.
has that offensive mentality to him, and Vladimir Tarasenko,
and getting
they can get back to the.
and they got
blue
Ryan
line.
O'Reilly, who's more of a defensive.
O'Reilly, yes,
kind
he
of
was a key pickup for them, and
Sure.
that's what's helping them bolster their
Mhm.
roster a lot more.
But yeah, I don't know. That's the other thing with playoffs is the hot team at the right time, just
Right.
like with Vegas last year.
Exactly.
But
Colorado, they're 88 points. So Dallas clinched playoff spot.
Mhm.
They're, I think it's safe to say, well, it's not safe to say because, hold on. Let me get it conference-wise. Because I always get these mixed up. Division-wise. Because right now, okay, never mind. It wouldn't matter. In a way, if Dallas plays right, they can possibly pass St. Louis, but St. Louis has a game in hand, so it might not be the case. So I think Dallas is staying put pretty much right there at 91 points.
There's really no
Sorry,
way,
not
'cause-
at 91 points, but in fourth in their
Well,
division, second
also-
wild card, or first wild card, whatever it is.
St. Louis has 3 games left to Dallas's 2.
Right, and that's a big factor.
And Dallas has 3 less points. So, I mean,
Yeah.
they have a chance, but if they lose, then it's
Right.
possible.
Colorado, they have 88 points, second wild card spot, 3 points
Mhm.
behind Dallas.
This is where it gets interesting.
and
the wild
4
cards.
ahead of Arizona. So
Mhm.
it's official. Last night, Chicago and Minnesota are officially out of the
Yep.
playoffs. So
Which
now,
I think Minnesota was eliminated after the Arizona game
yes, no, for
when
sure,
they got shut out by Arizona.
exactly. So now, obviously, the drawing line with where the cutoff is Arizona,
Mhm.
but it's slowly but surely looking like the Colorado is obviously the last team in
Right.
the playoffs.
Right now it is. But
For the West with the
Mhm.
second wildcard spot, because they're 4 points ahead of Arizona. They both have 2 games left to play.
one home, one away.
Exactly, and
Both pretty challenging. 'Cause
yes,
I brought this point up to you before we even got on
Yeah.
the podcast, and
and this is a great question.
this is a great
it's so
question.
tough.
But who has the easier schedule here? Because starting with Arizona,
Okay,
tomorrow they play at Vegas. Not the easiest of games in Vegas.
yeah,
Then Saturday they're at home against Winnipeg.
okay.
And then if you look at Colorado's schedule, they get at Winnipeg, and then they're home against Winnipeg, and then they're away
At
at
San Jose.
at San Jose on Saturday.
I think
That's actually I want to see also this too.
while you're looking that up, I think honestly, I was doing a lot of thinking beforehand. I think this it depends on where you play.
Yeah, 'cause
I
also-
think Colorado might have the easier schedule because they're what you said they're at home against Winnipeg.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. Now
But
San
so-
Jose,
Arizona's
can-
home against Winnipeg too, though.
that does help, but the fact that they're away against Vegas,
Yeah.
that doesn't help because that building's going to get loud.
Here's the
Because-
other thing too.
Yeah,
If you look at the Pacific, both Vegas and San Jose are pretty much a lock of where they are.
are a lot.
There's no
It's already
chance-
announced
yeah.
that those 2 teams are playing each other, just like Boston and Toronto
Right.
are playing each other.
and there's no way of flipping it where Vegas would get home ice or
Exactly.
anything. So I don't know how important those games will be to those teams.
Right. That's a great point because
Because they both have a team. They're both playing a team that could rest people.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
San Jose especially because that's the last game of the season. And I was like, okay, let's rest
Yeah.
these guys because we're getting a Vegas and we know what they got.
It's tough because you make such a great point because the closest team to Vegas is Colorado, correct?
Colorado's in the Central.
Okay, no, sorry. Is who's in the Pacific? In
There's no one in the Pacific left that would be able.
okay, yeah, exactly.
I mean, Arizona's in the Pacific, right? Yeah,
I think-
Arizona
yeah.
is, but they're moving to
but
the
they're
Central.
too far behind.
They're too
so
far behind, so there's no chance. That's
so
what you already
right
said. It was a
now,
lock.
It's literally the only, like you said, it is a lock, and the only thing that you could really do is, make yourselves feel better about, I have a great record, and that's it, and or you can bolster the stats more, but other than that,
Here's the only
Yeah.
other thing I could think of is
go for it because I can't
a
think of anything.
possible tie. If Vegas or if
Really?
San Jose has like 2 games left, if they lose both games and Vegas wins, then it's a tie.
You're right,
And point wise,
but then you would have to go to the row. I think,
they would have San Jose would still have one last loss
yes,
because it'd be 29, but 44. But Vegas would have 45 wins, so Vegas would be ahead. I think
wow,
because of no, maybe not.
yeah.
No, definitely not. Because if you look at Colorado and Arizona, Colorado has one more win, but they're out because they have a lot more losses.
Right.
Oh, wait. At least. Losses. But damn. Colorado has 14 overtime losses.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to come down to the wire with that. And also in the East, too. We haven't even talked about that, but as I kind of alluded to at the beginning of the podcast, Columbus had no help last night at all.
They really didn't.
Both Carolina and Montreal won last night, and Columbus lost. What was it? 6-2 to Boston. Which made it even closer because there's only a point difference between the first and second wild card, and there's a tie for the second wild card, and point wise, but it's given to the Columbus.
Okay.
So if it doesn't go right, Columbus could be out of the playoffs.
All right, prediction time because we got to do it. Is Columbus making the playoffs?
Hold on.
Because right now, the record is 45-31-4 with 94 points. Montreal, 43-29 and 8 points. And an 8 with 94 points. The row, Columbus is 44, Montreal 41. Honestly, I don't know what you think, but I think Columbus is not going to make the playoffs, and Montreal is going to surpass them within these final two games. The way that Columbus has played lately, it's very sloppy. Although they have been 6-3-1 in the last 10, just so has Montreal. I do think that Montreal will end up passing them. You know, obviously, so the next game for Montreal is a little bit tough. They're in Washington. Columbus, they are against the Rangers, so that makes it a little easier. But still, it's. I do have the feeling that Montreal will pass Columbus. That's just what I think, but we'll wait and see what happens. And of course, in the wild card, in that top spot, it is the Carolina Hurricanes, hanging on with 95 points.
All right, I got everyone's schedules up.
Perfect
For the last two games.
All right,
They both have 2 games
where
left.
are we starting?
Montreal.
All right,
Montreal, you could say, has the toughest
because
or the easiest,
they're
depending on what the teams do.
Right.
Because tomorrow
Is Washington.
at Washington.
Yeah.
And then Saturday is home against Toronto.
Oh man,
Columbus, they could have the easiest,
they could, or they
but
could have
it's
the
back
toughest.
to back.
That
Friday-
is tough.
But they have 2 days off in between from now to Friday.
Okay.
But Friday they play at Rangers.
Yep.
They're away both games. They're playing against at Rangers and at Ottawa. Those could be either trap games or they could be games that could get them in. Carolina.
Go ahead.
Tomorrow they're home against New Jersey
Yep.
and finish off the season in Philadelphia. on
Carolina's
Saturday.
got the best schedule.
Yeah, they might.
I really think so because look at the way Philadelphia's been playing. They looked hopeless. I'm sorry, but they really did embarrass themselves against Dallas last night. They
Mhm.
lost 6-2 in a horrible looking game.
They didn't look great in that game before either.
Exactly.
Against the
And
Rangers.
and Philly, they know they're out of the playoffs, and
Mhm.
right now they're just playing for pride.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, all they can really do to help themselves, ironically, is kind of lose out the rest of the
Right.
season just because they need
the
a better
only
draft
thing
spot.
you could really do is, all right, do we want Carolina getting the playoffs? Let's be the spoiler team. That's the
that too.
That's the one thing teams that aren't in
Like
can
to do
kind of jolt themselves into the
Exactly.
remaining of the season.
is we can
Which-
play spoiler.
But you could say the same with the Rangers and Ottawa.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 spots still open.
Yep. Washington could do
And
that to
even
Montreal.
technically the third spot. Because there's only a 2-point difference.
Oh, in the Metro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
between
because-
Carolina and Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, no, because and I was telling you this before the podcast started. If Carolina wins
Pittsburgh-
out,
yeah,
and Pittsburgh
Pittsburgh
doesn't
has-
do anything.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's all of a sudden
on.
in the wild card spot. And if Montreal and or Columbus were to do well in these final games, and Pittsburgh loses out completely, they could be out of the playoffs completely. I don't see that happening, but it's a possibility. It's out there.
They lost last night, too.
Who?
Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
4-1 to Detroit.
They did, and they play. It's a home and home series against Detroit. Their first game was at Pittsburgh. This one is against Detroit, and that is tomorrow.
And then they finish the season on Saturday and at home against the Rangers.
Okay. Now that one I think possibly could be a trap game. I'm not gonna lie.
I think the Detroit game could be too.
Yeah, it really can. Because Detroit's
even
defeated, and same thing with New York. But hey, I honestly, despite the fact that Detroit's been so bad this season, they've been playing some great hockey as of late. They're 8-2 in their last 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's
They've won their
impressive.
last 6.
Yeah. There's no other team out there that has a better last 10 than the Detroit Red Wings right now.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few teams that have won
7.
3 in a row.
Yeah, oh, boy.
Huh.
Okay. I didn't really give my predictions on anything yet, or even in the West yet.
Also, the Rangers, keep in mind, they're 3-7 in their last 10.
Here's another thing to keep in mind, too. This is just in the West, because I just scrolled down and saw it. Last 10 for Arizona, 3-4-3. Colorado, 7-1-2.
Yeah, Colorado, they're one of those teams that's getting hot at the right time. Calgary, they're hot at the right time. They just clinched the West, which I didn't think was going to even happen this year at all.
San Jose, 1-8-1 in their last 10.
Wow. So really, we could possibly see Vegas overtake that second spot from San Jose.
Possibly. Yeah.
Vegas isn't even looking that hot themselves. They're 5-3-2.
I mean, that's kind of been the West all seasons.
Winnipeg's 5-5. St. Louis is the best team there in the Central, 7-2-1.
The West was so close this season. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is kind of what happens. But when you're hot at the right time, it doesn't matter. You're in, you're in.
Exactly. Anything can happen.
You do it. Flyers got in 2010 on a shootout victory. So.
And even last year, they got in on the last day of the playoffs.
And almost had to play an extra game.
Yeah. That would have been insane. I kind of wanted to see that, though. Game 83.
Mm-hmm.
It would have drove Flyers fans nuts. But
it would have, because they would have been, it's the Flyers of always, because they just missed out on the playoffs again.
In the East.
But also the Flyers, even before they were officially eliminated, they weren't really playing that well.
They were playing terribly.
I don't know.
In their last 10, they're 3-7. They lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
They face St. Louis next, and then close out the season against Carolina at home. So it's been a brutal season for the Flyers. I had a lot of high expectations for them.
You did. I think you had them second.
Yeah, if not even third at most. But it's that's how that's why we play the games and everything, and it's obviously it's tough, but it is what it is, and you just gotta kind of move on and kind of go from there. But
it was kind of the back half of March, like halfway through March, it kind of spun out.
Mm-hmm. And exactly.
I think what it was the back-to-back against Washington and Toronto.
That really hurt them.
That did.
And was that back-to-back against Toronto? Was that the one where they had a 5-2 lead?
That was the one where they lost 5-2 to Washington, and yes, they had the lead and they lost it, and JVR got his hat trick.
Yeah.
It was that game.
That game really was the turnaround point for the Flyers.
But then you're like, then they just came back in this great way again against the Penguins.
Yeah.
And then no.
Yeah. The only bright spot of the season was Carter Hart. They beat the Penguins in the season series. The Stadium Series, they came back and won, which is awesome.
They beat the Rangers in their season series, too.
No, they did.
They didn't sweep them, but
that's what I was thinking. Yeah, they beat them, which is nice to see. And obviously we'll break that all down a little bit, because I think it'll be fun to do. Once the season ends, I would like to do season review for the Flyers, kind of positives and negatives and everything, and what you would hope for the offseason and everything.
But for my prediction, because you gave yours, seeing those schedules and everything.
Yes. And we're talking
I
about the
think
Carolina, Columbus, Montreal
Yeah.
debacle,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I don't think Pittsburgh's gonna fall off.
I don't think so.
They're not gonna fall off to the wild card. I think
That-
they're staying.
Yeah.
If they didn't, you get a Capitals Penguins first round.
Yeah. So right now, Pittsburgh's playing the Islanders as of right now if the playoffs were to start today.
Which if I'm a Penguins fan, I want the Islanders.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Because the Penguins, they would take care of them in 5 or 6 easily.
And even the Capitals have been hot recently too.
Yeah, they 6-3-1.
Not
Last
horrible.
Both Pittsburgh and the Islanders have been playing some pretty bad hockey. 5-5 for
About 500,
New York,
yeah.
5-3-2 for Pittsburgh.
All three lost. All three Metro teams lost. The only team out of all three that's won the last game was Boston. After looking at Atlanta too.
Carolina won their last one.
True.
And that was against Toronto, 4-1.
Montreal's won their last two.
There you go.
But also, we'll get to the Flyers in a second.
Yeah.
I was just going to say draft-wise and everything. But we'll get to
I can't wait
but
for that.
for my prediction, I think it might be how it is now.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance Columbus misses it. And if they do miss it, they're screwed. Because I think they're about to fall into an even worse situation the Islanders were with Tavares.
Yeah.
Because you kept them thinking, okay, we'll just keep them for this year because playoffs. But now even if you do trade like their rights or anything, you're not going to get anything for them.
No.
So you screwed if you miss.
This is for Columbus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you lose Bobrovsky and Panarin. Possibly Duchesne.
Yeah. I saw this fantastic tweet the other day. It's almost identical to what you're talking about. On how Columbus gave up so much.
Mm-hmm.
They traded all these pieces and did so much at the deadline, and yet
They're right here.
they're right here. And that, I don't know what the reason is or anything, but where do you think it leads to? You know, it's that's really
Right now, the Columbus is like the Flyers last year. I mean, right now they're 6-3 and 1 of the last 10, but they're like on the cusp of coming out or going out of the playoffs.
right.
It's kind of similar to the Flyers, but I think it might pull off the Flyers and just make it. But I'm just saying if they do miss, which is obviously likely, because all three don't really have the most difficult schedule because I don't know what Tampa Bay and Toronto are going to do when they're facing Carolina. But both Columbus and Montreal have favorable schedules to end the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just really hurt them last night, Columbus.
Yeah.
That really hurt.
Do
Do you know who tweeted it?
Huh?
Do you know who tweeted that?
No, I don't. I'm really mad because
Did you like it? Or?
I don't think I did either. I just saw it. I probably should have, but
Yeah.
So per moneypuck.com, Columbus has a 92% chance to make the playoffs still, 55% chance to earn first wild card, 27% chance for second wild card, 10% chance for third and Metro.
Let's go to our handy dandy cap friendly, shall we, people?
Yes.
Columbus right now, $3 million and over $3.5 million in cap space. If you do lose Duchesne, Panarin, and Borowski, you do get $12 million from them,
Mm-hmm.
and then the 7.425 from Bobrovsky. So you do get a decent amount of money back.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's not like you're not going to get anything back. It's just you lose Bobrovsky and Panarin
and then
potentially.
here's also the situation that you're having with Panarin. How many people want to play in Columbus?
Also, how many people want to play for John Tortorella?
That too. Also,
Because if you have a
Ooh.
personality and his personality,
do you have their cap friendly up?
I can bring it up.
Sorry, hold on.
For who?
It was really bad for them if they do miss and they don't re-sign these guys and
Columbus.
don't do much. They only have 2 picks this season.
Columbus.
this draft.
Yeah, no, 'cause
third
again-
round and the 7th round from Calgary. That's it.
Again, because they did so many trades.
They only have 2 picks.
Yeah. All right, so like for a huge part of that, or no, that's oh no, that's the wrong team.
I mean, even if they do lose him, because you're looking at the team going forward without them.
Yeah,
You still
so-
have some pieces.
all right, so
I think he fall into the middle of the pack
yeah,
of the NHL. I don't think he could become the worst team.
right.
Also, Keith Kincaid is also a free agent. Not that they had him for a while, but
Mhm.
that's another goalie that they're gonna lose.
Yeah. Okay, because so
But you still have
yeah, this is tough.
Zach Werenski and Seth Jones, so you have a first pair.
That right there, yeah.
You just have to find a goalie.
Oh, you also have Adam McQuaid. I don't know.
Sure.
Would they re-sign him?
they'd have the money to.
They would. Not only that, but yeah, because Werenski, he's going to get a huge contract. I think 4 to 6 year contract easily, maybe even a 7.
Mm-hmm. And if any of their young goalies are kind of ready, or
yeah.
if they sign someone.
I've
if
always
they sign
liked
like a Talbot or
Corpusalo.
someone. Yeah.
I've liked his game a lot for some reason, and
But what if this?
Huh.
Talbot's a UFA, right?
yes,
What if he went to Columbus?
I can see that.
Like they just signed him,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Because he
I
won't
could
be
see
that
that.
much, but I think he could maybe write this ship out for them a little bit.
I think he wants to stay in Philly and also help mentor Carter Hart. He said
Sure.
if he got an offer, he would stay.
I'm sure he would, but I'm just saying,
right,
if
yeah,
you're
spitballing,
looking
yeah.
at it, not that I'm really going off of his game last night, and his very few games,
Yeah.
because also he only played 2 games in the last
Yeah.
month.
Also, he
So-
let up a really bad goal last night.
He's rusty.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's played 2 games in
Yeah.
the last month. That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that it's probably going to be Elliott that they might want to bring back. If not, then they could obviously go back to Talbot
Right.
too.
I don't know. I mean, Elliott's definitely made a great case for why they should keep him.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's going to happen or not, though. But also,
But I'm just thinking. I was just thinking out
yes.
going forward, like how the team would look.
Yeah. No, I agree. Back
'Cause
to
I guess you could, if you threw a amount of money, you could possibly get Duchesne if you wanted to bring him back.
yeah, it's because right
'Cause you're
now,
gonna have
like
a
you
good-
said, they have
'cause if you-
3.6 in mil
Right
in cash.
now, and then you
yeah.
lose if you do.
I
lose
think you're
all
gonna-
3, you
I
get
think
a
if
good amount.
anything, they're gonna lose one of Artemi Panarin or
I think
Bobrovsky.
they already did.
Yeah.
I think they already kind of made it known that they don't want to come back.
Well, Panarin, I think he's gone no matter
Yeah.
what.
'Cause there's even-
Bobrovsky,
there's rumors he's either wants to sign.
Bobrovsky's possible
with,
stay.
he possibly
I
wants
think
to
it's
go
a
to-
60-40, and 60% he leaves, 40% stays.
I think he's going to be one of those free agents, not like the MLB free agency that they take
Yes.
into spring training.
But
I think
it'll
he's
be quick.
just
It'll be
later-
quick.
I think it could be a later one because I think he might want to see what offers he gets.
Actually,
And if he
that's
does
fair.
come back, it's going to be like, okay, I've seen all the
Yeah.
other options out there.
Yeah,
I
let me
might-
just come back. Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's fair.
For Panarin, I've heard the rumors are that he might want to sign with the Rangers or Panthers because Russians like Florida for some reason.
They do. I don't know why. Could he
And
even
if
make
he
a
does-
return back to Chicago?
Obviously, he wants to go to a big city too.
Yeah, exactly.
But-
Because there's that big city
Yeah.
factor.
That's
why I
his
don't
best
know-
hockey was played in Chicago.
Exactly. And now that they have look at Dylan Strom, how well he's
Mhm.
playing. Look at Alex DeBrincat.
Sure.
Phenomenal. And imagine if he went back there, those 3 young players.
Mhm.
Because, obviously Panarin's older, but still he's obviously
Sure.
one of the best wingers in the entire NHL. He's only 27. Those 3, I think, could become the new Taves Kane threat. Obviously not
Mhm.
that great,
Yeah.
but not yet, but has a lot of great potential.
Mhm.
Also, for Columbus, really quickly, Ryan Murray, he's on the injured reserve. His contract expires at the end of the year. End of the year,
Mhm.
2.82 mil. So
He's an
keep that in
RFA,
mind.
So they could bring him back.
Yeah, he's an RFA. Yep, thank you.
Yeah. That was just kind of playing the other side too. If they're not
Mhm.
too terribly much like the Islanders, but
Yeah.
They'll have more cap than the Islanders did, but
Yeah.
it's just that, like what you said too. I don't know how many people are going to want to play with John Tortorella either.
Right, and that's the thing is some people like their
turned off
personalities
by him, yeah.
clash. Like look at literally perfect example. Look at Scott Hartnell and John Tortorella. You know how Hart's he is and everything, and Tort's you know how he is, and yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
It's
but
tough.
I think we got everything we got for around the league, right?
For the most part, you know, obviously just. You know, I think all we were gonna
Did
do
you
is
give your
look at
prediction
people's
of
cap
what you think?
spaces.
Yeah, you said Colorado, right?
I
take
did
that
say
last-
Colorado.
Yeah,
Yes, I said Colorado, but I think unfortunately the way
it's gonna
Arizona's
be
playing of
Colorado,
late and also how Colorado's been playing,
Mm-hmm.
I think
I think right.
that Colorado.
Yeah, for me, I think how the
set.
playoffs are right now, it's probably going. It's going to stay at.
Yeah.
That's my.
So
just
right
thinking.
now, let's look at those preview matchups. So right now, if everything stays the same how it is, Tampa Bay would still play Columbus.
Mhm.
Boston, Toronto, obviously set. Washington, Carolina, and then New York Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Mhm.
In the West, you have the Calgary Flames and the Colorado Avalanche. A set matchup no matter what. San Jose versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Winnipeg versus Dallas. And Nashville versus St. Louis.
Yep.
So, yeah.
There's a few good series too, but I also see a couple series where that might be
Yeah.
lopsided.
Has since we last podcasted, has any of these matchups changed? Because I know Tampa
Obviously not Boston, Toronto.
or Tampa Columbus.
I don't think San Jose, Vegas.
I don't
has
think
either.
that's changing.
The only
either.
thing that's really changed was the wild cards because
I think Carolina, Washington changed a little bit.
Nashville, St. Louis has been the same too.
So real,
It's just kind of-
it's just Calgary and Colorado. That's really changed.
Yeah, Calgary, Colorado, and then the Carolina, Columbus, and Montreal. Because there's been points where Montreal was in there too. But I think we can kind of move on here to the sad Philadelphia Flyers right now. But I will start off this by
Yeah.
a tweet from Charlie O'Connor that I
Yes.
saw that I wanted to bring up to our podcast, and I kind of want to get your opinion on it.
Yeah. I have it up to that. That
Um,
way I can just
Yeah.
follow along
It was
closer.
a thread he tweeted out yesterday morning. He said, I feel like the people who believe that the Flyers being active in terms of additions this offseason qualifies in and of itself as return to the Wild West days of Paul Holmgren don't understand just how much cap space they predict to have. If they were to buy out AMAC, possible, considering all the demand, and he's been scratched regularly over the final 2 months, and re-sign all of their RFAs to long-term deals, high AAV deals, rather than look for small short-term bargains, we're still talking about 11, 12 mil and likely in space. And then this last one here was, which teams are sitting on 11 plus mil in cap space right now? The Carolina Hurricanes and the New Jersey Devils. If the Philadelphia Flyers enter 2019-2020 with that much unused space, it's an embarrassment not only to them but to the entire NHL. What do you think of that tweet?
He makes a lot of great points.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it this way. The first thing that comes to mind is he's a Dave Scott mentality right there with that thought process.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thought process. And Dave Scott, for those who don't know, is CEO of Comcast Spectacor. My only issue is if you spend to literally the cap, you're going to end up exactly where Paul Holmgren put the Flyers years ago before Ron Hextall came in and fixed things. Right now, the Flyers, they're in good position. 8.69 mil in cap space. They're going to get, where's this buried one? 3.6 mil more after Yuri Laterra leaves.
Yeah.
Michael Neuvirth, 2.5 mil right there. So that's roughly
depending on how the
6
other
point,
goaltenders go.
Yeah, 6.1 right there in cap space alone. That's 14.7 cap space overall.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously have to re-sign Travis Konechny. Scott Lawn, I think, is deserving of a contract. Ivan Provorov, Travis Sanheim, they're all going to get contracts. Then you have to worry about the goaltender. So a couple mil. So I think let's right now we kind of got to break down position by position each player that is going to get contracts. So starting off, Scott Lawn, first forward. Yes or no contract?
I think he'll be your fourth line center next year.
That I agree with. Contract-wise, 2 to 3 year deal. What do you think?
Yeah.
Because right now he's on a
I think he,
960.
I think he gets the same deal as Raffle.
And Raffles
Got
is
2
$2.35 mil.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's his current contract right now. $1.6 mil for 2 years.
I think he gets the same
I like
thing,
that.
yeah.
I think that's a great contract for a player like him. The next one is Travis Konechny.
He's obviously going to get one.
He's obviously going to get one. Realistically, though, years-wise, how many years could it be? Look at I'm assuming you're on cap friendly. Look at Radko Gudis' contract with how it's a 3.35 mil. I think if he gets 3.35 mil for 4 years, I think that's a fantastic contract.
Sure. I was going to say until when Drew's contract goes out in 2020, 2022, 2023, that many years.
Yeah.
For it.
No, that'd be perfect. Again, the biggest question is how much money would it cost him?
Right.
I think it's going to be between 3 and 4 mil at most. You could even argue 2 to 3 mil.
I'd say maybe around Couturier.
Yeah, and that was the other thing I was thinking of. I was thinking, could it be what Sean Couturier has on a remainder of his contract, 4.33 mil for until 2021, 2022. I think that's realistic. Ryan Hartman. I know there's a lot of controversy around him. Personally, I would like to bring him back on a 2-year deal.
I'd do 1 year.
If not even
I would do 1
year
year just to see what more he could have because I haven't seen much from him to say anything.
I know that a lot of people, like yourself, aren't the biggest fans.
Well, also he replaced Simmons, so people say, okay, he's kind of the next Simmons, and they saw the first game, he came back, and they're just like, oh, this guy.
Well,
and then he's kind of at moments
dialed down.
Yeah.
I agree. It's I don't know how well he's played lately, but
he scored a goal lately.
Yeah,
in one of the games.
Well, how do you determine lately? But now I remember scoring the goal. But
against Toronto.
Yes. I think that if anything, if Hartman were to receive a contract 1 to 2 years, I think that's easily fair to say he deserves right there.
I think you could.
I think throw him on the fourth line because if you do that, that's a great fourth line. You have Scott Lawn, Ryan Hartman, and Michael Raffle. That's a very strong fourth line.
Yeah, because I feel like you might want to bring someone else in for the third line.
Exactly, because you'll have.
Because I think you'd have
Nolan Patrick,
JVR, and someone.
Yeah. Here we go. I'm pulling up Daily Faceoff right now just because
I don't see Justin Bailey coming back. I don't see Corbin Knight coming back.
Corbin Knight actually just got placed on waivers, by the way.
Was he?
So he'll be going to Lehigh Valley.
I don't see Phil Veroni coming back either.
No. So
if they do, they're back in the NHL.
Yeah. So right now, here's what the lines look like for the Flyers. James Van Riemsdyk, Sean Couturier, Claude Giroux. I think, if anything, put Travis Konechny on that top line because those three with Coots, TK, and Giroux.
Wait, where are you finding these lines?
Daily Faceoff.
Oh, what was the lines?
JVR, Sean Couturier, Claude Giroux.
Was that the lines last night?
I guess so.
Yeah, I guess.
Oscar Lindblom, Patrick, and Konechny. Ryan Hartman, Scott Lawn, Jake Voracek, and fourth line, Corbin Knight, centering Michael Raffle, and Justin Bailey.
Voracek should be on your second line.
Exactly.
At worst.
With
I don't know.
Because I think I'm assuming because Bill Meltzer usually tweets out the lines, if anything.
I think they're off today. They're traveling.
Yeah.
To St. Louis.
If not Meltzer, then no. Okay, it's not Meltzer. Let me check with Carchidi and then Isaac.
Yeah, I'd do Isaac.
Because let's see here. Yeah, so so Talbot started last night. Elliott starts in St. Louis tomorrow, and Hart starts the finale versus Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Marin and Bailey played last night. Gudis and Veroni were out.
There was the lines.
Huh?
Isaac. No, wait, sorry. That was the 31st.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not really seeing.
Yeah, the only thing I'm seeing was from the 31st game, but
Okay,
in that
but
game,
still, we can.
you can go off of this.
I
lines
think
too,
I
'cause
think it's fair.
You can give or take
Yeah.
anything, and this one, because I think
I think
this
this is more
this
realistic.
yeah, because in this one it's Drew Kateri-Konechny.
Yep.
I'll go back to that. Lindblom, Patrick Voracek. Sure, I like that. And then
Javier Lawton Hartman.
your fourth line of Roni, Knight, and Raffle.
And then your defense, Provorov and Gostisbehere, Haig and Gudis, Sanheim, and Phil Myers. So right away with that top line, Drew Coots and TK.
I would keep that.
I think that's a fantastic line. Lindblom and Patrick and Voracek, you could really have that as a line.
Mm-hmm. That's what the line was before.
Yeah,
last year.
I think you should just keep that. I think the top six are
depending on who you bring in, sure.
And that too.
Because the Flyers are going to bring in a center.
They have to.
And a winger probably.
They have to. What they
think
need to bring in is a top scorer, a top six scorer, like a sniper.
Right.
Yeah, because JVR helps a lot, but they need another big piece. They need another big name. JVR, Lawton, Hartman. I think because it always interests me that they have JVR on the third line. I like it, but I don't like it because I want him in the top six, but at the same time.
I don't mind it. He put up 40 goals on the third line in Toronto. I don't mind
35, but yeah.
Either way.
But
he put up that many goals.
Because my thing.
Because if you give JVR the right people, he's going to score no matter what.
And
he's
that's
still going to be on
why,
the first line.
And that's why I kind of do like it. It's just because there are some teams where it's like, okay, this player, you have to have him.
I know
in
you
your
have
top
your
six.
But let's just say, hypothetically, I know you don't really like him that much, but say we bring in Duchesne as a center.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind
and
that.
then you throw Patrick down to the third line.
That I would be content
Then you have
with.
Patrick, JVR, and you bring someone else, winger wise,
or call Nicholas Aube-Kubel.
Sure, he'll be fourth line, but
but
sure.
Still, but so because my point is, some teams. All right, so like for example, let's say if JVR was on a team where they need help, like Arizona, they're instantly top six, if not even the top line. But for a team like Philadelphia or like Toronto, like he was on, of course, you throw him on the third line because that just shows you how much depth your team has. And really,
JVR is the type of player that I think anywhere you put him, the right lines, he'll score.
Yeah,
he'll find the net.
Because and you know that's definitely a great point. And a little bit more to it is that a team right now, like what the Flyers have, it's not like, oh, this is our first line, this is our second line, this is our third line, this is our fourth line. Like, you know, right now that might seem like it. But I think depending on who they pick up, but definitely their top three lines, in reality, we have a strong first line, a strong second. It's like they have two strong second lines and a first line and a third line. They don't even have a fourth line. Right. They have a great first line. They have two strong second lines, and they have a third line. Mm-hmm. So really, they don't even have a fourth line right now. Right now they do, but for next year, kind of depends on who they pick up. That's what I was going to look up. I just remembered. I was like, I was trying to figure out what to look up on Cat Friendly, but I wanted to bring out the free agents again. My thing is that depending on who you pick up, the Flyers don't really have.
You could get Jeff Skinner. You put him on the wing.
I would love to have Jeff Skinner.
If Buffalo's that dumb to let him go.
But I don't think they will, but you never know.
But just saying, if he was out there and you sign him, that's a way too long ago article. It was from December 4th.
Oh, man.
But yeah, just if you put him there and then you have him second line, third line,
I would easily throw him second line. Because right now, Buffalo has $2.8 million cap space. They got to re-sign Skinner still. They have to re-sign Jason Palmerville. That I don't know. They have Zemgus Girgensons 1.6 RFA. Johan Larson 1.47 RFA. Evan Rodriguez $650,000. Jake McCabe 1.6 RFA. Matt Tenson $650,000. Linus Olmark. They have they're gonna gain $3.97 million in cap space because Matt Molson's contract is expiring, so that's a huge help there. So they have what it takes to re-sign Jeff Skinner potentially. Now, would they sign him to a deal like 5.72, or would it be bigger?
If you don't want to go the Duchesne route,
Yeah,
another center I'd put out there, Derek Brassard.
Brassard,
He's not having the best year, but he's a pretty solid third line center you could put on the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do think that. Excuse me.
And if you're looking at
Brassard would be a great pickup.
Also, if you're looking defensive wise, just you want to add because the Flash could probably use a good defensive.
Carlson.
Yeah, I would only say Carlson because not the best defensive class or free agent class.
You do have Tyler Myers.
You have Trouba and Myers, but I feel like
Trouba's an RFA.
They're both going to get re-signed by
Winnipeg.
I would have to believe.
I feel like Winnipeg has to re-sign him because those are two. They're not only their main core, their main defensive pair, but they're two of the best defensemen in. They're two of the top 10 defensemen in the league.
And I think none of these other defensemen are out there are the type of defensemen the Flyers would need.
No, I'm looking at all these names
because the other names that are out there, like
maybe there's two players maybe out there.
What?
One's an RFA, unfortunately, and Cody Ceci, 4.3 mil. I don't know if Ottawa would let him go. I don't think so. I would hope not because he's a great young defenseman. But he's the type of player that I wouldn't mind the Flyers getting. And Jake Gardiner. It's going to be a little expensive, but Toronto does not have what it takes to re-sign him. Then could Philly pick him up?
Sure.
Right now it's a 4.05 cap hit.
I think the Flyers defensively, what they would need is a Carlson. Like I think they need like a first line kind of defenseman, top 4, top 2, something like that.
Definitely top 4.
Because I
probably
think
top 2.
Because if you do get Cody Ceci or Gardner, I think they'd go to your second pair.
Yeah, because you have Provorov, who's really your obviously number one, and Gostisbehere. I don't know where to put Gostisbehere right now.
I don't even know if they might trade him.
They could. I don't know. You have Sanheim and Phil Myers has been playing exceptionally well.
McDonald's probably gone, but still.
And also, I want to look at because really, in my opinion, the Flyers what they need to focus on in the next 2-3 years, they need to start drafting defensemen again to bulk up for the future. So, because literally for the Flyers' first 4 first-round picks the last couple of years have almost all been not like the last year or two, but within the last 6 years have been mainly defensemen. It was Marin, Sanheim. You had
Ghost.
Gostisbehere was actually a 3rd-round pick.
Right, but either way.
But either defenseman. You had Haig. You had Provorov, of course. All these young defensemen, they're up now. And Phil Myers.
You did draft some. You got a couple of Swedish in the last one.
Yeah, Hogberg, I've been hearing is a great defenseman. And then Zamula, he's Jaeger Zamula. He's actually been playing well, and his team is in the second round of their playoffs. They just won a Game 7. Mark Friedman, what do you think of him? Because I think, aren't you pretty excited about his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never really seen Friedman a whole lot. I don't know how I feel about him, but I think he definitely has potential. What's ooh?
I'm just looking forward. I'm looking at not this.
You're looking agency.
I'm looking
futures.
at next free agency afterwards.
Let me get there.
You got
I want to see.
Pietrangelo, Marlowe,
Holpe.
He's gonna get signed.
Mikael Granlund's gonna get signed.
Taylor Hall,
Tyson Barrie,
Corey Crawford.
Tyson Barrie, that's a name out there. Torrey Krug would be a great pickup.
Nathan Horton, finally.
Oh my God, yes. Alex Galchenyuk,
Braden Shen, and Andrew McDonald, but he's gonna get
Tyler
out.
Toffoli. Ooh, Vladislav Nemestikov, Jake Muzzin, Roman Yossi. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Here's an interesting one. How do you feel about this? I don't know how you feel about him. Sami Vatanen. Yeah. I don't know if he's one of those players that excites you a lot, or it's like,
Really?
Matt Murray, but he's gonna get re-signed. Evgeny Dadonov,
I was just looking at that just for
fun.
well that, and also if a trade were to happen like mid-season next year, just looking ahead, who would be out there?
I want to look one more season ahead just for fun. Ovechkin. Let's go.
All right.
Oh, Kovalchuk. All right, I'm getting carried away here.
You are.
Yeah,
and obviously, just some backup goaltender, whether it's Elliott or Talbot.
I would,
because
obviously it's Carter Hart's a starter next year.
Yeah.
Because I want Chuck Fletcher to be comfortable with what his goaltender duo is going to be. It's going to be Carter Hart and Talbot, or Carter Hart and Elliott. Are you content with that? I don't know if I am.
This is the top 10 free agents that are out there for on Cap Friendly that I'm seeing, goaltending wise.
Yes.
Number 1, obviously, Sergei Bobrovsky. Number 2, Semyon Varlamov. Mike Smith, Cam Talbot, Cam Ward, Brian Elliott, Michael Neuver, Anders Nilsson, Ryan Miller, and the last one at 10, Chad Johnson.
That doesn't excite me enough, you know.
No.
Obviously the only one Bobrovsky, but he'll want a starter mentality, and we got Carter Hart, so there's no point.
Yeah. So then you're looking at those like, okay, which one of those guys could be a solid backup? Even if Robin Leonard was number 11.
He did well with New York this year with the Islanders.
That's why I'm wondering if they would want to re-sign him again, just because he did so well.
All right, and even next year, looking at players goaltending-wise, Holtby's obviously staying in Washington. Crawford, I would want to stay away from him. He's had too many concussion issues. Craig Anderson, he's 38, going to turn 39. That's up there.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Howard, and of course Matt Murray, but I'm assuming he'll get re-signed. Jacob Markstrom, I like him. Vasilevsky's going to get monster deal. Thomas Grace. Yaroslav Halak, 34. Anton Khudobin, McCondon. And Aaron. None of these. There's not a whole lot of names out there that.
Yeah.
It's a tough goaltending market.
It is, but it's like, okay. Because the only thing you're looking for is.
It's just a backup.
Yeah.
That's a consistent backup, you know?
Or maybe a backup until, let's say, Sandstrom is ready.
Yeah.
So then you can
that's fair to say. Because he's coming over to North America.
Yeah, he's coming to the Phantoms next year.
Yeah, and I can't wait for that. It's awesome.
And then if I don't know if they want to do a tandem, but if you have him and Hart your starter, then, and if Sandstrom could play just as well as Hart or whatever, then this wouldn't be a big deal, because then you have two really good young goalies.
Yes.
And then, then he could be, depending on what other moves you make, he could be kind of like the Penguins.
Yeah.
Just not an older Fleury and Murray.
Mm-hmm.
You'd still have two solid goaltenders, where if one struggles in the playoffs, the other one can come in.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But then on the other side of that, if you do have a good goalie on your bench and everything, you could also use him in a trade, too.
For?
Just saying.
For which player, sorry?
If, like, not Hart, but, like, say, Sandstrom.
Yes.
You don't really, like, he has the talent, but say you want to bring in someone else, so you could possibly trade him to get something.
Yeah, no, it's always possible.
Mm-hmm. Just depending on all the scenarios that could happen there. Yeah. The Flyers are now going to have to look into the offseason. And that's what I wanted to bring up earlier, which I completely forgot about.
Yeah.
We are going.
It's and then what do you do with like Alex Lyon? Do you keep him in the minors?
I think so. I think that's where he's staying. I don't think Fletcher has any love for him anyway. So
yeah.
And right now the Flyers have the 11th best.
They do
chance of making the playoffs or in the
The
Yeah, not
11th overall pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost in the
I actually did some lottery. They jumped up 9 spots to the 2nd overall pick, and guess who jumped up to number 1? Chicago.
If the Flyers play their cards right, if they lose again, there's only a 2-point difference between them and Vancouver and
Chicago. Yeah, so they could potentially move up to the 9th overall pick
If they play their cards right,
if they play their cards right.
that's what.
Edmonton's playing is helping themselves. They lost 4 in a row.
I am a Flyers fan, and I'm rooting for them to lose.
Buffalo is doing
'Cause
great in their case. They've lost 8 in a row.
There's also this, too. If the Flyers were to somehow jump up to 9th,
Yeah,
that's a 16% chance of top 3, 5% first overall.
that's amazing. That's really is. Not only
Yeah.
that, but you can use that as leverage.
That and you're now top 10 in the draft.
Exactly, and
so
that's
fantastic.
fantastic.
The talent that you're seeing is, okay, now we're looking at top 10 wise.
Yeah.
What if somebody falls?
Yes.
What if this happens? What if that happens?
Even where they are, even if they
'Cause
don't
they
move
still have-
anywhere,
'cause
they have the
the
11th overall pick.
Don't they still have the same scouts that Hextall had for the same most
all
part?
except
I know they got rid of the assistant GM.
yeah, and he played a big part in the
Right.
scouting, which I was not a fan of.
But I'm
The
so-
fact that they got rid of him, but
Right.
it is what it is. But I think for the most part, their scouting should still be the same.
Really,
Actually,
the
still, I
scouts
mean,
going to the games, obviously. But
right.
I'm assuming they're going to give similar things that they were given to Hextall and their other old assistant GM.
Yeah,
who I'm blanking on his name.
Well,
right
my
now.
thing is, I am too actually.
Unfortunately, that's the
Crap.
best the Flyers will do, regardless. Is
I
go
think
to that 9th spot because there's no way they'd be jumping towards Edmonton at 77 points.
All right, so they have Ross Fitzpatrick, John Chapman, Alan McCauley. They have Wade Clark as college scout, amateur scout. They have Mark Gregg, Joachim Grunberg, Todd Hardy,
I did a
Ken
sim lottery.
Hudikoff. Yeah.
I did it 3 times, just
Oh, gosh,
random.
Yeah.
Guess who's number 2 again?
Edmonton,
No.
Philly.
Yes.
Oh, no way.
Edmonton was first. Then
Of course.
Philly, then Ottawa. That
Uh,
was the top 3.
Dennis Patterson. He's one of the better amateur scouts that the Flyers have.
Also, let's put this too.
Huh.
The Flyers' last 10 has only been 3-7-0. And if I'm looking at all these teams, that's near the bottom of them.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that's close is Buffalo. That's 1-8-2. 1-8-1. Then there's Rangers that had the same, and then Edmonton. that's
Oh, and this
4-5-2.
one, the Flyers would get the first overall pick.
Right. But
They
that's
jumped
the
up
thing.
10 spots.
That's
LA's at second pick.
the other good thing too is that the draft lottery is on Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I think it is.
You might be.
I think it is.
Ooh.
It's early this year. It's before the playoffs.
It is.
The season will be over by then. And if the Flyers play their cards right and they get that 9th spot, it's going to be kind of interesting to see where they fall.
April 9th, 6 days from now.
Mm-hmm.
I am so excited. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, here's actually a strange possibility. Because I'm just trying to think out loud. Because so right now, Flyers have number 11.
Yeah.
And number 12 is Minnesota. Let's
If
say
they move nowhere, they're 9.8%.
yeah.
Top 3% first overall.
Well, so here's my thing. So let's say if the card flips, Minnesota gets 12th overall pick. If the 11th overall pick belongs to Chicago, that automatically means Philadelphia will get a top 3 pick guarantee. Correct?
I think.
Isn't that how it works? Because like if you because I don't know if that means like if it would be possible like for let's say if misses 12
I think it's
if Chicago gets 11, does that mean Philly could get 10?
I think it's that. I think it's possible that the Flyers could get 10 or somewhere in between 9 and
Right.
1,
No,
or 10 and
because my thing is because I'm just trying to think of this because remember a couple years ago with Noah Patrick,
1.
they jumped up 15 spots from 17 to 2.
Yeah.
And they automatically went from 17 to a top 3 pick. Dallas had number 3. The Flyers had number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah.
And there's also still this question too of what Fletcher does coaching wise.
Right, and that's a great possibility because it's
'Cause I don't know because Fletcher has a lot to look for, but in evaluating
Scott Gordon.
Scott Gordon.
Yeah.
He started out slowly, then he had the great run,
Yeah.
and then the Flyers near the end here have fallen off again.
Yeah.
Which part of that does he see? Okay,
Yeah.
NHL happens. You go up and down every once in a while. Does he see that as okay? Is he good enough to lead this team forward, or should I still possibly look for outside help?
Yeah.
Quinville or whoever else.
Yeah,
is
well,
out
I'll
there
put it
that
this
you-
way. Scott Gordon, since replacing Dave Haxel on December 17th, the Flyers have gone 25-19-4, including a 18-4-2 run that put them within 3 points of playoff spot with 13 games left. Obviously,
Can
it
you
didn't
say
happen.
that? Can you say that record again? For me?
25-19-4 since Dave Haxel was fired
You
and
said 25-19-4.
yes, and since Scott Gordon took place over
So
Dave Haxel.
if you want to get the losses and put them together, it's 25-23.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you put it that way, it's
Yeah.
looks a little closer.
It
but
does. But if you put him overall record, it's
Yeah.
Flyers, however, have obviously faded down the stretch, winning just 3 of their last 10, missing the playoffs for the 4th time in the last 7 years. Paul Holmgren has said, "quote: There's no question Scott, as in Scott Gordon, has done a good job. I like the way he's handled things. We've looked good at times and we've struggled at times too, but I think Scott's done a good job of coming in under not the greatest circumstances." Holmgren said it's ultimately GM Chuck Fletcher's decision on whom gets hired. Fletcher was en route to Dallas and not available to comment. Holmgren continued to say that'll be up to Chuck, but Scott has certainly worked himself into the mix. And I think that's definitely fair.
What were you reading off of?
Philly.com, an article by Sam Carchidi.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you said that or not. So.
No, I did not. But thank you.
Yeah.
Of course, Scott Gordon is definitely making himself a candidate. I think, obviously, Joel Quenneville will be a candidate.
But then there was if
Also-
that is the case. There's also the rumor out there that
Olave Vigneault's out there.
well, there's that, and also I saw it earlier in the season that if Minnesota were to lose,
Yes.
miss the playoffs,
Which
that
they did.
Want to? Yeah, they have
Yeah.
that. They,
Then Joel Quenneville could go to Minnesota. And that's definitely a possibility. And that's something that the Flyers have to be aware of. I think
but still, if I'm Joe Quenneville, I'm looking at each team's situation,
Right.
Looking what they have,
because
and
both
everything.
Minnesota and Philly, they are both in pretty
and
good
coaches are different,
situations.
so the Flyers could pay Joe Quenneville anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
You honestly, it could
You
be
have
like a Mike
Comcast
Babcock
you have
contract.
Comcast Spectacor money.
Yeah,
You can
it could
use
be a
that.
Mike Babcock contract. I
Sure.
really could see that being happening.
Mm-hmm.
I really could, because the fact that he said that even supports the idea even further.
Why couldn't Barry Trotz be this year?
Yeah, right. Can we just get Laviolette back?
I think he's having too much success in St.
I have an idea.
Nashville.
Let's bring Scotty Bowman out of retirement. So here's some other coaches, though. You have obviously Scott Gordon, Joel Quenneville. You have Alain Vigneault, Dan Bilesma,
Guy Boucher.
Guy Boucher,
He is now out there.
Bob Hartley, and dark horse candidate Luke Richardson, Montreal assistant, who's been an AHL head coach in Binghamton.
John Cooper
He just got a multi-year extension, my friend.
with the Flyers.
Oh, Whitmer. What are we going to do with you?
You're saying that wasn't with the Flyers?
I'm sorry, but no.
Oh.
I know. Sorry to disappoint.
Oh.
I know.
Good for him.
Yes. No,
I guess that's something we
really did
didn't
deserve
really.
it.
Yeah, we didn't really mention that, but yeah,
We
he did get
didn't
an
know,
extension.
but he does deserve it for sure.
Mhm.
He's
But this also, because I was just
Yeah.
thinking of it just randomly when I was thinking of this, or
Mm.
I don't know why I was thinking of this, because when we were talking about Columbus, I was thinking of this, because I was thinking it would be GM problems or whatever. But who do you think would win? Because it usually goes to the team that wins. But who do you think would be GM of the year or
yeah,
in the running for GM of the year?
that's a tough
'Cause
one.
If you look at like Nashville and Winnipeg, because they were the most busy teams at the trade deadline, they're still
They're not as great, honestly. I'll put
Yeah.
it this way: last year, they're a much better team last year than this year.
yeah
But then again, it doesn't help that Winnipeg lost Paul Stastny.
true.
So, I don't know.
Usually it's what's his name in Pittsburgh, but even the Penguins have kind of or still haven't made the playoffs just yet.
Yeah. Jim Rutherford. I wouldn't consider him a GM of the year candidate.
I guess. No, never mind. I was gonna say that's only if the Islanders were to somehow, and I don't think it is.
I think Barry
possible
Trotz is easily
that's coach of the year. I was gonna say
coach of the year.
I guess it is technically possible for the Islanders to possibly go and take the top of the Metro, but I doubt it. But if the GM, my favorite GM, what's his face, and
Paul Maurice?
No, and the Islanders.
Oh, Islanders. Lou Lamoriello.
I guess he could technically because of the transition from last year. Even though the only thing he did was get a fourth line and bring in Valtteri Filppula.
Yeah.
Could he give? I was gonna say, could he give it to Toronto? Depending on how far they go with
Kyle Dubas.
Tavares.
I think it's fair that Kyle Dubas could be in the running.
Could he give it to Boston? Depending on how far they go.
Tampa
Bay is obviously always in the mix, even though I don't think they've really done. GM really hasn't done much.
Since Stevie Yzerman left. Yeah, he hasn't really done a whole lot.
Because there really hasn't been much.
Because there hasn't been much to do. Because, well, that would be interesting. Because
no, they did sign someone. I thought this season.
Well, they re-signed McDonough and JT Miller.
But
that was when Yzerman was still here.
Right.
I think if anything, it could be a split GM of the year between Yzerman and their current GM. If they were to potentially win it, just because
you could give it to the Caps.
Yeah.
They got Carl Hagelin, and he's actually done really well.
Yeah,
for them.
and he's also a UFA. Keep that in mind. I think Washington could re-sign him, but I would love for Philly to go after him.
Yeah, depth guy can kind of help.
But I don't really know who my finalists are yet. Then again, because it's like last year.
I think it still
last
depends
year
on
for Vegas, it was a no-brainer.
It was a no-brainer because of how well they were.
Exactly, but for this year, it's tougher
because it always goes down to season play and then the playoffs. How far they go.
Yeah.
Some of that you give to the coaches. The other part of that you give to the GM.
I think Boston's GM could get a possible candidate.
I still think you should after getting a third round for Sacramento.
No. Well, that wasn't him.
Oh, right.
I don't think it was.
Was it? Or did they fire him?
One way to find out. Cat friendly. By the way, scoreboard update: 2-0 Phillies in the top of the first. Let me go to Boston. Boston. Yeah, so their GM is Don Sweeney, head coach. Bruce Cassidy, their head coach. I think he could be a coach of the year candidate. I
think if the Montreal Canadiens can make the playoffs, he could pass Claude Julien.
Yeah, Claude Julien. I thought you were going to say their GM Pierre Dorion. I was like, no.
No, not him.
All right, okay. That made me worry for a second. So
Brind'Amour, I could possibly.
Brind'Amour, I think, is a finalist. But anyway, for Don Sweeney, he's been
whoever
GM
the coaches in Calgary.
Yes,
actually, I could probably say Calgary's GM too.
Yeah, well, they got Elias Lindholm and Noah Hannafin. Yeah, and that was a huge part of their success.
Sure. I mean, they didn't get much help from.
James Neal.
That's his name.
My thing is, though, really quickly for Sweeney for Boston, he's been around. He's been their GM since May of 2015. So,
that was the year after, right? Or is that the?
Let me take a look.
2?
Actually, he traded. Wow, I didn't even realize that Dougie Hamilton was on Boston.
Yes, he was.
I did not know.
You didn't know that?
Oh wait, no.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, that's right, he was. Yeah, because they got a first and 2 second-round picks. They picked Jacob Forsbacka Carlson, Zach Senshin, and Jeremy Lausen. I apologize deeply for the horrible pronunciations. Then this one hurts. They got Martin Jones, a first-round pick, and Colin Miller in exchange for Milan Lucic. And then they got rid of him, Martin Jones, that is.
Boston just
they traded Martin Jones straight up for a first-round pick and Sean Curley. So
Boston historically has not made the best trades.
no,
Because this team could be significantly better if you kept Tyler Sagan, Dougie Hamilton,
yeah,
Joe Thornton,
Phil
Phil Kessel.
He hasn't made that
I
many
think Kessel was on
great
there, right?
trades.
No, he wasn't. He was in Toronto. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought Phil Kessel was in
All
Boston.
right. So two of the trades that I will give Sweeney a lot of credit for, picking up Marcus Johansson and Charlie Coyle.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are great trades for them.
Yeah. As San Jose goes on a deep run, I guess you could put him in there too.
Yeah.
Just because they were very busy this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Getting Carlson and then trading for Hoffman and then trading him away.
Yes.
And then getting Evander Kane.
Yeah, I think that was big. Well, that was the other year, but yeah.
Yeah.
But still,
Right.
supports
Sure.
the point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so Evander Kane's kind of one of those more gritty players that it's kind of good to have in the playoffs. But I think that is a good way to end this podcast.
Yes, it is. And Flyers, they got two more games left.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's in St. Louis, and then they you have Brian Elliott getting that start, and then at home. Tomorrow's game, 8:00 start, and then Saturday's game, the season finale in Philly against the Carolina Hurricanes. Carter Hart, what a nice treat that is for the Flyers fans. Gets the final start of the 2018 season.
They played this Saturday at home.
They do.
They're getting no one at that game.
Because the Phillies are fine. Yeah.
Well, they're playing in the afternoon, actually.
But still, it's like a, yeah. So some could still do doubleheader.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You stay for the whole day.
Exactly. Some people do that,
Yeah.
My daddy used to do that all the time. It's awesome. So 7:00 start to end the season finale.
If you want to see the rest of the misery of the season.
If you want to just watch
if you want to root for a loss so we can get the 9th overall pick, go for it.
There it is. I love it. And that will do it.